Brazil is a big emitter, but Brazilian government has maintained the position that Brazil has no historical responsibility for the emissions that are causing climate change now. Do you think this diplomatic position is sustainable in Copenhagen? Or Brazil will pressure to be more open to the discussion?
I mean, I suppose the wordplay about targets, commitments, objectives, goals is not, I don't think, very fruitful. What do I hope Brazil will be able to do? I hope it will be able to say, for 2020, here is ambitious goals that Brazil has, ambitious commitments that we have, commitments that we will live up to and that we will abide by. I hope the international community will find ways in which we can help finance some of these changes in Brazil. I don't think we should get too hung up on the question of precisely what it is called, but I think it does need to be a clear and binding commitment.
You said during the announcement of the UK low-carbon transition plan that UK will motivate other countries to be ambitious. What does it mean for Brazil?
Well, what I think is the truth here is that every country needs to show the leadership that it can show. Every country faces its own problems, and I've been hearing in Brazil about some of the barriers to change in Brazil, but every country needs to be ambitious. We have been ambitious, I think, about our own plans. Our Prime Minister has said we as the UK, will contribute financially to help developing countries adapt to climate change and to pursue a low-carbon path. Every country needs to show the leadership it can. Normally in these negotiations, everybody holds their cards to their chest, waits to the end, and then we try and get an agreement. I don't think that will work this time. So whether it's the United States or the United Kingdom or Brazil, everyone needs to say, look, we want an agreement in Copenhagen. I hope in the end that the world...
The US will be very different this way, isn't it? Because this way, US will be more cooperative, I hope.
I think they have become more cooperative under President Obama. They still face big challenges in their own country to change the view about climate change, because I think that they have to turn public opinion round. People in America, I think, still see tackling climate change as simply a cost. There are costs, but there are also benefits for the economy because there are big jobs in the green industries of the future. And also, and this is something that had made a big difference to the debate in Britain, the costs of not acting on climate change, the environmental disasters, floods, droughts, lack of water, climate refugees, all of these things have huge costs. And it's very hard.
The idea of Lord Stern.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very hard in politics, I think, and maybe politicians don't normally say this, to take the long-term view. But this is what we need to do, and we need to take the long-term view, but we need to do it quickly.
And quickly
and that's
in the future.
And that's why we need leadership from all countries, including President Lula, who I think has a huge opportunity to influence this debate on climate change.
Brazil is very excited about the prospect of very deep oil, very deep sea oil extraction. Does petroleum have a future?
I think it has a future as a transition. We're in a transition. All of our economies are transition economies, but it's a long transition. And I was talking to the...
How long it will be the future of petroleum?
Well, I mean, I think there will be a future for the coming decades, but if you take the UK, and we're saying that we will have 80% reductions by 2050, we're talking about a dramatic reduction in the role that petroleum plays in our economy. We're talking about electric vehicles. We may be talking about biofuels as one source of cars, and I know Brazil is a leader in this. So there is a transition. There is a role for oil and gas in the transition, but we need to move away. We need to start to move away from these fossil fuels, in my view.
What about coal? You support coal.
Well,
I think that the future is impossible without coal.
I support coal if it can be made clean, because I think that we need to shift to other energy sources, but we also have to accept the reality that whether it's coal or whether it's gas, these plentiful supplies, cheap plentiful supplies, will be very tempting for people. And it will be very hard to take people away from using these completely. And therefore that's why we have to try and make them clean if we possibly can.
Okay. Don't you think that humankind needs to radically change its lifestyle instead of trying to fix the way of life that has brought us to this edge of climate change catastrophe.
What kind of changes in lifestyle are you thinking about?
I don't know. I am asking. I'm a journalist here.
Okay, you ask the questions and I try and answer.
Yes.
I
That's
think,
the way it is.
I think you're right, and I get asked about this lifestyle question a lot in Britain. And maybe it's because I'm a politician and I feel I'm in the persuasion business, and we have to persuade people. I think saying to people, for example, you can't fly anymore, which some people would like me to say, I don't think is a very realistic view. I think we have to persuade people that we can help, government can help them to change their way of life. Let me give you one very small example, and this doesn't reflect very well on Britain. In Holland, in one city in Holland, which is about 200,000 people, they have more bicycle racks at train stations than in the whole of London, which is 12 million people. That is an example of the way government can help people to change their lifestyle. If we have more bicycle racks at train stations and more cycle lanes, more people will take the bicycle to the train station and won't drive their car for a short distance, which is bad for the environment. So I think government has a big role in helping people to change their lifestyle. I'm not sure government wagging its finger at people and saying, you must change, this is what you must do. It's such a great, successful way forward.
The UK has had 15 ministers of energy in the last 12 years. How can convince the world that your plan will be followed by future ministers or future governments?
Well, I think there is something very important about our plan, which is that it has gone through Parliament. It is legally binding. Whatever happens, whoever the minister is, there is a legally binding commitment to the kind of reductions I'm talking about. And that makes and this carbon budget...
It's a country's plan.
It's a country's plan. And in a way, it does have cross-party support, but that's, in a way, less the issue. It's gone through Parliament, it's part of the law, and it's the public expects us to fulfill these changes. And therefore, that's significant, I think. And that is a guarantee, if you like, that the right thing will happen.
Okay. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you.
Eu volto na semana que vem.